You walk into the supermarket the way you always do. Milk, bread, eggs, a box of cereal, a frozen dinner for the night you don't feel like cooking, maybe a bag of chips you didn't plan on buying. You reach the checkout. The cashier scans everything in seconds. The total blinks on the screen. $87. You tap your card, grab your bags and walk out. Ordinary. Forgettable. The kind of moment that happens to almost every American, almost every week. But here's the question nobody asks in that checkout line. Of that $87, how much of it actually becomes profit? Not revenue, not sales. Profit. The money the store actually keeps. The answer might surprise you, because in the grocery business, that number is often just a few dollars, sometimes less. Which raises a much bigger question. If groceries alone don't make supermarkets rich, then how are some of the largest, most powerful companies in America built on selling food? Because the aisle you're standing in right now might not be where the real money is made at all. Let's start with the illusion. From the outside, a supermarket looks like a money machine. Endless aisles, constant foot traffic, registers beeping all day, every day. Trucks unloading pallets before sunrise. It feels like wealth in motion. And in a sense, it is. Grocery chains move an almost unimaginable amount of money every single day. Billions of dollars pass through supermarket registers across the country in a single week. But revenue is not the same thing as profit. And this is where the illusion starts to crack. Behind every full shelf is an avalanche of cost. Inventory that has to be bought before it's sold. Employees on the floor, in the back, at the registers. Rent on massive buildings. Electricity running non-stop to keep refrigerators and freezers alive 24 hours a day. Trucks, fuel, warehouses, and delivery routes. Spoilage. Food that goes bad before anyone buys it. Insurance, security, theft, technology systems, store renovations, price promotions that cut into margins the moment they launch. A supermarket can sell millions of dollars worth of food in a single week and still have very little left over once every expense is paid. So if the food itself isn't the gold mine, what is? To understand that, you have to stop thinking of a supermarket as a place that sells groceries and start thinking of it as something else entirely. A stage. And every inch of it is being fought over. Walk down any aisle and you'll notice something if you look closely enough. Some products sit right at eye level. Others are down near your ankles. Some brands get an entire end cap display right where the aisle opens up. Others are squeezed onto a bottom shelf, easy to miss. That's not random. Shelf space in a supermarket is some of the most valuable real estate in American retail. Every foot of it is contested. Brands want the eye-level position. They want the end cap. They want the seasonal display near the entrance during the holidays. They want to be the first thing you see when you turn the corner. You think you're walking through a grocery aisle. The supermarket sees a battlefield of attention. Because the shelf isn't just holding products, it's selling visibility. It's selling the chance to be noticed in a room full of competitors, all screaming for the same 3 seconds of your focus. And that's only the first layer. Look a little closer at what's actually on those shelves, and you'll start noticing a pattern. Next to the national brands, the ones with the big budget commercials and the familiar logos, there's often a quieter alternative. Same aisle, similar packaging, a different name. The store's own name. Private label products have quietly become one of the most powerful tools in modern retail. And the logic behind them is simple. When a supermarket sells someone else's brand, it's playing a supporting role. But when it sells its own brand, it controls almost everything. The pricing, the packaging, the supplier relationship, the margin. The supermarket doesn't always want you to remember the brand. Sometimes it wants you to remember the store. That's why private label products keep multiplying on shelves across the country. They're not just a cheaper option for customers, they're a strategic asset for the retailer, one that quietly builds loyalty to the store itself, not just to whatever happens to be inside the package. But even this isn't the deepest layer of the mystery. Because so far, we've only been talking about products. Now it's time to talk about you. Think about the last time you walked into a store for 5 items and left with 20. That's not an accident. It's not bad willpower either. It's design. Supermarkets are some of the most carefully engineered environments in American commerce. The layout isn't thrown together. It's built with intention. Milk and eggs, the things almost everyone needs, are often placed at the back of the store, which means you have to walk past everything else to get there. The scent of fresh bakery items greets you near the entrance. Bright lighting draws your eye toward feature displays. Checkout lanes are lined with small, high-margin items, gum, candy, magazines, perfectly positioned for the moment you're standing still with nothing left to do but wait. None of this means every store uses every tactic, or that shoppers are somehow powerless. But the broader pattern is real, and it's backed by decades of retail psychology and behavioral research. Store layout influences what you notice. What you notice influences what you compare, and what you compare influences what ends up in your cart. You didn't walk into a neutral room. You walked into a carefully engineered environment built to influence what catches your eye and what doesn't. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. But the story doesn't end at the shelf or even inside the store, because behind every product you buy, there's an entire economy you never see. Supermarkets don't operate alone. They sit in the middle of a massive web. Manufacturers who make the products, distributors who move them, wholesalers who supply them in bulk, logistics companies that keep the supply chain running, and advertisers who want their brands seen by millions of shoppers every week. Inside that web, commercial relationships get negotiated constantly. Promotional deals, distribution agreements, advertising placements. The exact terms vary from retailer to retailer, brand to brand, and they're rarely identical across the industry. But the underlying truth holds up everywhere. The supermarket is not merely the final stop for a product on its journey to your kitchen. It's a gateway, a powerful one. And gateways in business are almost always worth something. Now here's where the story gets even stranger, because there's a layer to this business that has almost nothing to do with the shelf, the brand, or even the store itself. It has to do with information. Every time you scan a loyalty card, every time you check out, every time you use a store's app, you create a small trail of data. What you bought, when you bought it, how often you come back, what products you buy together, which promotions actually got you to spend more, which brands you tried once and never touched again. The receipt may leave your hand in seconds, but the information behind that receipt can last far longer and be worth far more. To be clear, this isn't about supermarkets secretly selling your personal identity to strangers. Reputable retailers operate within privacy laws and regulations. But the data itself, in aggregate, in patterns, in trends, has become one of the most valuable assets in modern retail. It helps stores decide what to stock, how to price it, which promotions to run, and how to personalize offers to keep you coming back. In other words, the supermarket isn't just learning what America eats, it's learning what America wants, sometimes before America fully knows it. And that knowledge quietly shapes almost everything you see the next time you walk in. There's another layer hiding in plain sight, and it has nothing to do with what's on the shelves at all. It has to do with where the building itself is standing. Location matters enormously in retail, and a supermarket's location isn't chosen by accident. Foot traffic, parking, nearby shopping centres, delivery routes, distribution hubs. All of it factors into where a store gets built. Sometimes the supermarket isn't just selling groceries, it's helping create the foot traffic that makes an entire shopping centre valuable, drawing customers who then wander into the pharmacy next door, the coffee shop across the lot, the strip mall down the street. The grocery store becomes an anchor, and anchors in real estate are worth protecting. Now zoom out even further, because the modern supermarket has quietly become something almost unrecognizable from what it used to be. Online ordering, curbside pickup, home delivery, digital coupons that appear the moment you open an app, membership programs that unlock special pricing, personalized offers waiting for you before you even walk in the door. The supermarket of the future may not even look like a supermarket. It's becoming part store, part logistics network, part technology platform, part advertising engine, all stitched together behind a set of sliding glass doors. And that transformation brings us back to you, because underneath every strategy we've uncovered, the shelves, the brands, the layout, the data, the real estate, the apps, there's one simple goal driving all of it. They don't just want your purchase today, they want your habit. A customer who shops once is valuable. A customer who comes back every single week, year after year, is worth something entirely different. Multiply one modest grocery trip by 52 weeks, a year, then by 5, 10, 20 years. And a single loyal shopper can represent thousands of dollars in lifetime value. The supermarket isn't chasing one transaction, it's chasing a habit. Your habit. So let's go back to that $87 receipt. Now look at it differently. There's the shelf position that made one brand catch your eye before another. The private label sitting quietly beside the name brand, engineered to earn your trust. The impulse item you grabbed near the checkout without even thinking about it. The loyalty card that quietly logged your visit. The digital coupon that nudged you toward one product over its rival. The location of the store itself, chosen with surgical precision. And somewhere behind all of it, a supply chain and a data system working together to make sure that next week you come back and do it all again. You thought you were buying groceries. The supermarket was building a relationship, and that relationship, built week after week, receipt after receipt, can be worth far more than anything sitting inside your shopping cart. Because the truth is, grocery margins really can be thin. That part isn't a myth. But thin margins on food are only one piece of a much bigger machine, one built from shelf space, private brands, consumer psychology, supplier deals, data, real estate, and digital platforms, all working together at the same time. The food gets you through the door. The business model is everything that happens after that. So the next time you walk into a supermarket, don't just look at the prices. Look at the system. Look at what's placed at eye level and ask yourself why. Notice the store brand sitting beside the familiar one. Feel the layout guiding your feet before you've made a single decision. What surprised you most? The shelves? The data? The private labels? Or the psychology working on you the whole time you thought you were just picking up milk and bread? Because once you understand how the supermarket really makes its money, you'll never see a grocery aisle the same way again.